right, Irish fans, welcome to week 8 of Under the Golden Dome. You are Under the Golden Dome with your hosts, Michael Stonebreaker, Wes Pritchett, Frank Stams. 3 All-American linebackers that played for the last national championship team in 1988. We discuss, we talk, we critique, we remember, we laugh about all the things from the '88 team, and plus we analyze what's going on today with the current Irish. A lot of lessons. Not everything that happened 50 years ago, or in our case, 40 years ago. Not everything that happened 40 years ago was a bad thing. So, all right, Irish at Notre Dame. I'm just going to say, I think Marcus is listening to Under the Golden Dome, and the team is getting better. You guys' thoughts?
Yeah, it's getting to them. I think pretty much most things that we have discussed, the team has listened to, and they're tackling better, they're playing better. So yeah, I definitely think it's getting through.
I would agree with Michael. I mean, it's clear that the team, the coaching staff have been listening to Under the Golden Dome. And they're playing with more intensity. They're playing fast. They came out fast. Just all the things that we talked about, Mike. Blocking,
you break down. You break down each week. You break down
the ball down the field. I mean, it's like prophecy almost.
Each week you break down film. I think the coaches have been breaking down each episode of Under the Golden Dome, and I think that they're taking it step by step.
That's a good point, Mike. I'm quite sure that's happening.
Yeah. Now, impressive win. 51-14. Navy, 6 turnovers. And they had not turned the ball over like that, I don't know, in 5 years or something crazy.
They only had 2 turnovers for the whole season.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And they had what, 6 turnovers. 1 of them was a good interception. The other 5 were unforced turnovers.
Wow.
So,
Right. No, you'd like to say Notre Dame created those turnovers, but to your point, unforced turnovers.
Unforced turnovers. So, I had Notre Dame scoring 40-something points and them scoring 24 points, but they were only able to score, 13 points? Because they had 5 unforced turnovers. So that skewed my my numbers there.
Well, look, some games, and sometimes it's the opposite, right? Sometimes you play games and you're the guy that has the turnovers. That's why they say it's hard to stay relevant and win all the games, and every victory is a positive. But I did think that Notre Dame's. I mean, we know the defense has played well all year. I thought the offense. They could not hang with us man to man. We had the better athletes. We exploited that fact. Once again, Riley Leonard didn't really turn the ball over, and he did all the right things and scored a lot of points. So, I mean, the formula's working, and I think they're getting better every week. I do. And that's a good defense and an offense that doesn't turn the ball over, that can bully people over 4 quarters.
All right, so let's get into the weeds. That's the big picture. The getting into the weeds. Notre Dame opens up the game with a couple of passes. One perimeter pass, and I don't know. The other one was, maybe something short and quick. I get it. Establishes rhythm, get confidence with the completions, but it's almost to me what I think what Notre Dame is saying there is, there's 2 schools of thoughts. You guys know them both. You start with the pass to open up the run. You start with the run to open up the pass. And this is what I'm getting at is this is alarming. The perimeter pass, the second down pass, it's almost as if they want to soften up the defense so that they can run the ball better. And this is what scares me. Against Navy, they should just be able to line up and impose their will on Navy. Now, that's not to disparage Navy at all. It's just Notre Dame should have that type of dominance when playing the academies. And as I watched that game, Navy did a great job of I'm not going to say they dominated the line of scrimmage, but they did not get pushed back. They did not. They made some plays. They made some tackles for losses. They were able to penetrate. They were able to get control the line of scrimmage. Notre Dame, if not for the 6 turnovers, that game, I'm not going to say that game would have been a lot closer. It's still probably a double-digit win for Notre Dame, but that game's a lot closer. What surprised me is I thought the stage was a little bit too big for a ranked Navy team. A lot of attention there. The running back fumbling the pitch, that's elementary. The quarterback, the ball slipping out of his hand on the goal line, resulted in a score for Notre Dame. The drop, the muffed punt, those are things that, to me, that nerves come into play. But Notre Dame still have a lot of work. I thought Riley Leonard looked a little bit better. Wes, you mentioned the matchups downfield. I think Notre Dame had better athletes downfield. When they brought the pressure, they had to go man-to-man with them, and Notre Dame was superior in that effort. But Notre Dame, in my opinion, when you look at the numbers weren't all that ridiculous. Time of possession was about even. Yards per carry, if I remember correctly, or yards on the ground, were similar.
They were close. They were close. Notre Dame had that 4 touchdowns off of their 6 turnovers.
Yeah, right.
And so, other than that, Navy had 143 rushing yards, and 2 of those were big quarterback runs in the first half, right? But then at the end of the game, Navy wound up, they had 88 passing yards and 222 rushing yards.
Right. No, yeah. And, field position had a lot to do with probably the skewed numbers on Notre Dame's part.
Notre Dame only had, I think, maybe 240, rushing yards.
Right. They operated on a short field a lot of times, if any field at all. When I say that, there was, on that fumble in the end zone, that was 7 points right there off of no offense.
And I think they both had 2 punts. So Navy only punted the ball twice. Notre Dame only punted the ball twice. Navy had those 6 turnovers, and they were still able. The quarterback had those 2 long runs. They were still able to put points on the board. They just turned the ball over.
I'm looking at the stats. They had a running back. Horvath had 129 yards. They had another guy with 51 and another guy with 33. So what is that? 130, 180, 210 rushing. And Notre Dame had 100. Love had 102. Leonard had 83, and Young had 52. And then we had a guy with 20. So 72. So we had 250, they had 210 in rushing yards.
Yeah, the difference, absolutely. The difference in that game it was the turnovers, and at the skilled position. I thought Riley Leonard started the game wonderfully, 6 for 6, and that's the way they want him to start the game. And we'd keep Marcus Freeman talks about his confidence. They're doing a lot in order to build his confidence with that type of accuracy or completion percentage. So mission accomplished there. Did they start better? These are some of the things a couple of games ago that Marcus Freeman talked about that they need to improve on. Did they start better? Yeah, they did start better. What were the other things that he talked about as far as wanting to improve on? Third down conversions. They were better. I think they were over 50% on their third down conversions, and that was great. The one area, there was about 5 of them. I know one of them was penalties. They did not improve on penalties. They had 9 penalties. They had 1 penalty on about the 1-yard line, and that took away a score. That kind of shit gets you beat in the big games.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Navy also, along with those 6 turnovers, on the kickoff, the kid didn't field the kickoff, and it bounced out of bounds at the 4-yard line. So they just kind of shit the bed all over in every aspect of the game. So, they weren't prepared to play Notre Dame.
They played like Navy midshipmen that just came back from shore leave like the night before. You think they were out partying, the night before?
I do not think that.
You
I
don't
think
think
it's
they were
what you
drunken
said, though,
sailors.
Frank. I think the stage was very big for them. It was ranked against ranked. They were in the Giant Stadium, MetLife Stadium.
They were 6-0.
Yeah, 6-0, playing Notre Dame. I mean, they kind of.
That's why
like
I
Stoney
think that
said,
one.
they underperformed.
Yeah, that one interviewer asked Ned Bolkar, is this Notre Dame defense elite? And Ned, he didn't fall for the trap, right? And he's like, well, hold on, let's see them play some ranked teams. Let's see them play some of the better teams. And I think that's what you got out of Navy is they weren't ready to play the big boys and the good teams.
Yeah, what happens if they play at Georgia or Oregon or I don't know. We've watched Notre Dame from the time we played, up until today, and we've we've been let down. And I can remember the Alabama game in 2012, 2013 when we were, ranked really high. We went down there and they just absolutely rolled us. I think our defense is better than it has been. I do. I really do. But I don't know how it holds up against an Oregon or a Penn State or whoever the best team in the Big Ten is. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Frank? Or how about a Georgia? I mean, what does Georgia do to them?
I think
What does
Notre
Texas
Dame
do to them?
I want to address your point, but to Mike's point, I saw that, Ned shared that interview with us. And I thought he did a good job in that too. And I got a kick out of that question. And how I would have answered that question is, you only achieve elite status after the season, and if you're a national champion. Words get greatness, elite. Things get thrown. Descriptive words like that get thrown around all the time. But really, it's all about at the end of the day, that's when you can start calling them elite. I don't think anybody called us elite prior to the national championship.
No.
But they refer to us that way as well. But as far as Notre Dame, I think their defense is the strength of their team. I think they've got good defensive team speed. I think their linebackers run well. I think that Kaiser, he gets to the ball. I think they gang tackle. I think the defensive line is overcoming some of the injuries, playing better there, getting some pressure. That could be, I think, of the linebackers, secondary. The defensive line is going to have, they've got the biggest challenge going forward. Same with the offensive line. That's going to be the biggest challenge going forward. I love that Jeremiah Love. I think he's a first rounder.
Yeah, man, he's special. There's no doubt about that. I agree with you.
Right. I thought Riley Leonard did a nice job in that game. When he was scrambling, his vision was downfield. His accuracy was better. Man, I'll tell you, the midshipmen were headhunting him. They were trying to get every lick on him that they could. You just see that attitude, especially near the out of bounds. I mean, they're hitting him, as long as they can. They wanted, because they knew he was a runner. And, I'm sure they were coached up to say, hey, if he's going to run, we got to punish him. I like Notre Dame going forward. They, like we talked about in the last show, they get better as the season goes along. I'd say it seems to be Marcus's trademark. Last year they got better as the season went along. His first year, I thought they got better as the season went along. Now, his first full third year, I think they're getting better. The schedule sets up well for them. I think it's a softer schedule here, especially now they're coming home to Florida State, which is not playing great football. But the scary part of Florida State, you can't have a letdown because they sure as hell got as much talent, probably much more talent than Northern Illinois.
Yeah, it goes back to the trap games, right? It's easy to get up for the big games. Can you keep the the level of intensity for the games that you're a 20-point favorite. And we've talked about it before. I think that's something that Coach Holtz had a process where he broke us down, made us think the opponent, how great the other opponent was, and then it built us up during the week, and then by Friday we were the greatest team with the greatest plan, with that we're going to win and instill our will. But I think another thing that we've never really talked about on this show is how we were very protected from like what the spread was, the lines, what everybody was saying, because we didn't have social media. Imagine being a player today. You see everything, right? You see the other players, you see the schedules, you see the video highlights. Like, you just have a lot more information. So, you got to be very careful to not read your own press clippings, if you will. So you got to keep that hunger and not think, oh, we're just a 20-point favorite and our players are so much better and everybody says this. And I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think the times how different are the times today as far as the information that gets circulated, from week to week, or do the players even pay attention to that? I don't know.
Go ahead,
I think they
Mike.
pay attention to it. I think you've got the times are so different now. You've got a lot of kids that are diagnosed with ADHD and are on certain medications to keep them focused, and you've got so many other distractions with all those things that you just talked about that I'm sure it's really difficult. I know it's difficult for the coaches to keep the kids, focused on practice, focused on, I talked to a coach one time and he's like, I went over 5 times, with this one kid and then he gets in the game and then he's all whacked out and he goes and does the exact opposite. So, it's hard to keep kids focused nowadays.
Well, I've got a lot of thoughts on that. And I understand. I understand that. That can be an issue with some of the kids. I think I was undiagnosed ADHD. But who else? But you know what? What got my attention is Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
What got my attention? It was George Stewart. George would rip my ass. I remember in the Penn State game, that championship year, and it was our last game at home, and I'm acting like a wimp in the locker room and all that, and getting real sentimental. And I look back and I'm like, how embarrassing. When I should have just gone out there and manned up and and took it to him. And I think and what my point being is all these distractions. It's a simple game. Just beat the guy over you. Mike, you talk about this all the time. Wes, you played like this. Just beat the guy over you. You got one assignment, beat the guy over you, and keep it that simple. And I think a lot of this social media, a lot of the distractions, a lot of all this information is frickin' sensory overload. It'll frickin' start blowing circuits. And I just don't think the game is that difficult.
It's not.
It's not. And
the guy with the best effort, the guy that wins the individual play, the guy with the pads under the other guy's pads, you know what I'm saying? Like, all this simple stuff that I've been telling, I really literally told my kids this from the time they started playing football. I'm like, you just have to win one play at a time. You have to go out and win. If you win every play, by the end of the game, will have played pretty well, right?
Here's the shit you need. You need to know. And Mike, you talk about this. You need to frickin' know the down and distance, where you are on the field, all right, and what your assignment is, and that's it. And then go frickin' play.
I gotta bring this up, and I agree with 100% with what you guys are saying. Look, we may not have done a lot of things right, but we played hard. I think we all three understood that concept. It drives me crazy that they don't huddle up.
No, I want to. You're talking about the defense?
It doesn't matter. Both sides of the ball.
So I got to
Offense and defense, they don't huddle.
So I understand why the offense doesn't huddle up, and I've got an opinion on that. And I think that's because to get their attention, because that creates a sense of urgency about the offense when you're when you're not huddling.
Maybe I'm old school, and I don't know any different. The huddle to me was like a camaraderie thing. Like we all came in and like looked each other in the eye, and we all knew we were called this. Like everybody, we knew everybody knew the defense. We could talk to each other in the huddle. You know, we could pat each other up, get each other fired up, pick each other up. I don't know. To me, you know, being spread out like that. I mean, I'm watching the defensive guys on the field out there. They're all signaling to each other. The coaches are signaling in, and the guys are changing the play. And I don't know how the hell anybody knows what defense they're in.
You're under the Golden Dome with your host, Wes Pritchett, Michael Stonebreaker, Frank Stams, the three linebacking amigos from the '88 National Championship team, talking Irish football. Irish at 7-1 now, talking past and present. What the Irish need to do. We're talking about the huddle. Michael, what was the huddle? What was the huddle there for you? What was in it for you, the huddle?
The huddle was down in distance. Down in distance. Down in distance. Get the huddle. Down in distance. Get your defensive call. And you break the huddle. When you break the huddle, you turn and you count. I counted every 11. You had to mentally know where everybody was on the field to know what the offense was doing. It's a simple game. Tackle the man with the ball.
Right. So to me, and that's great because that's a different perspective for me because I'm on the line of scrimmage. I can't count. Did we have a huddle where the linebackers faced the huddle?
Yes.
Or the signal caller faced the huddle, so you could call.
Yes.
So I'm to the right and on my knees. I saw the huddle. Basically, the huddle was a chance for me to catch my breath.
Well, you guys would be looking at the offense, right? And I'm looking at the defense.
Right. But
mean,
still,
yeah.
Mike's behind me, and he can count the rest of the huddle. You can count the huddle, and then when you lined up, you guys were off the ball. You could freaking see that.
Let's be
my
fair.
alignment.
Hey.
My alignment was designed on a lot of times on the tight end, where I was positioning myself on the
person
tight
that
end.
was in front of you. That's all you were worried
Yeah,
about.
hey, to be fair, the offenses they face today are very different than the offenses we faced. I knew I was going to the tight end. I knew I was going to hit the guard, the fullback, or the tackle. That's it.
true.
It wasn't that hard. And if not, I'm dropping back to curl. So, yeah, it was a little bit. It was a different time for sure.
Right. That's interesting. I think about that now. I think about how would we match up with Notre Dame's offense today?
I think they would realize that after about the fourth play, they got punched in the face. They'd be like, "We need to throw the ball."
Well, I don't know.
Don't you wish we could do it? We'll never know.
To be honest with you, I don't know if I'd be on the field because they'd go to if I was on the field, it was only because I'm rushing a passer. It's not because I'm covering. So
yeah, well, same. What do you think? Well, here's one thing for sure.
Well, Mike could run. Anyways, all right. Last thoughts on Navy. Here we are, 7-1. Past midpoint of the season. Irish seem to have some momentum going forward. Hopefully, the Northern Illinois loss is ancient history. But now everything shifts to the playoffs, and the playoff picture. And I was listening to a couple of talking heads this morning that Notre Dame's in if they win out. And
that's what happened. That's what happened after the Texas A&M game. They were in. They were in the playoffs after the Texas A&M game. And now you're saying if they win out, they're in. Like everyone said, you got to take it 1 week at a time.
That's right.
Win this week, you worry about everything else
how
after
does,
that.
Michael, wait a sec. Michael, how does Notre Dame win this week against Florida State? Or not this week. They got a bye week. 2 weeks.
I'll be right back.
since we had a bye week, Frank. I haven't diagnosed Florida State yet, so I haven't looked at their
Well,
offense.
you know the type of athlete they got down there. What they have. Big, always a strong defensive line, skill, probably a big quarterback that can throw the ball down the field.
I don't know that to be a fact. I don't know what they have. They haven't been winning, and so with this bye week. You hopefully are going to get some guys back. You're going to get a little rest. You're going to get those little nicks and bruises out. You're going to be able to do some walkthroughs, some visualization of what you've been having success with, and just trying to hone down on the concepts that the coaches have tried to instill for these first 7 games. And so when you get to the Florida State, hopefully you've got it all down and you're ready to roll.
Wes, have you seen Florida State play?
I saw Florida State play Georgia Tech in Ireland, first game of the year.
Oh, nice.
Florida State, they have dudes. Like you said, they were very active in the portal. I do not think that they're going to be dangerous. But they don't look like something's off. Like they don't have chemistry. The coaches lost the team. I don't know. Miami just beat the crap out of them. They just kind of seem like a sinking ship. It's kind of like A&M was 2 or 3 years ago before Elko came in. They spent all that money and they had the greatest recruiting class of all time, and then they had a terrible year. So. There's a lot to say about coaching and chemistry and guys playing to their maximum capacity, and I don't think Florida State they're not playing to their potential.
So nowadays, if you lose 2 games and your season's over, so do the teams just fall apart? No one gives any effort anymore.
Yeah, I don't think that's true for everybody, but Florida State has underperformed. What that reason is, I don't know.
But if you're still getting your NIL money no matter what, you know what I mean? What's the point?
We were talking about I think that's I think that's where the head coach and the culture plays a part, right? At the end of the day, they can talk about the transfer portals and all the money these guys are getting paid. How are these coaches able to, we knew that kids were going to be committed for 4 or 5 years. The coaches all knew we were going to be committed for 4 or 5 years. How do you keep your culture and your chemistry in place when kids are all moving around every year? I think it's a very, very tough environment, and I think you're going to have teams every year that kind of fall out and just kind of lose the team, if you will.
Lose the focus of the season.
Yeah, well, you guys know this. Losing breeds contempt, and that's probably what's happening there in Florida State. I'm thinking about Florida State. Wasn't it a couple of years ago that I thought they got screwed for not getting into the playoff? Yeah,
2 years ago.
Not getting screwed. They were screwed, I thought, by not making the playoff.
Yeah. They were undefeated.
And so, to me, you guys know people that went to Florida State. Shit, I do. And, man, I look at some of these. Well, freaking Deion went to Florida State. They got talent. And that's what scares me about Florida State is all of a sudden, bam, they decide to play, and it's a whole nother game for Notre Dame. And that's where, this is, to me, and I'm glad they got 2 weeks for it. And I'm glad they're at home because this is a game that Notre Dame better be on, because if Riley Leonard, he throws a couple of picks, or they can't protect him, and they've got to rely on the ground game, it's going to be close. It's going to be close, and that defense could be challenged by all the skill that they have. The game is certainly going to be a much faster game than against Navy. So this will be really an interesting game. I'll be interested to see what Vegas has the spread on that. I would imagine Notre Dame would probably be a 7-8 point favorite, considering
more than that. I bet it's 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it could be. Like you said, but if you're not playing for your coach, then after the first series or the second series, they're just folding it in.
That's right.
Right. So and is it they have a bye week again? So Are they reading the press clippings again and not taking Florida State serious because they've got a couple losses and they think they're going to skate into this? You think you're better than you are. Is that it? So this is another test for the players, or is it another test for the coaching staff to get the players focused and ready to play?
I think it's exactly what you just said, and we've talked about it the whole show today. I mean, that's what I was talking about before when I was saying all the the distractions. The kids on an off week, they are going to be reading their press clippings, right? They are going to be reading about Florida State. These kids dig in. They know everything. They know the players. They know who's hurt, who's not hurt, the years they're having. Like, my kids know the stats of every player they're playing against. They really do. It's crazy.
Well, what Notre Dame, what press clippings could Notre Dame possibly, the players there at Notre Dame possibly be reading to give them a big head?
Well, I mean, just that Florida State has struggled, that they're going to be 2 touchdown favorites, that they lost to Miami by 28 points or whatever.
Gotcha.
Just
gotcha.
basically,
So
they put up 40 points, and 50 points.
So whose job is it to remind them of that they haven't done shit yet?
That would be the head coach, Frank.
Yeah.
That would be the head coach's job.
100%.
It's funny now,
and maybe Marcus is getting better at that. I mean, I think that's, like we said over and over and over again. That is where Lou Holtz defined himself as a great football coach. His ability to do that.
Right, and it's not just Holtz. And we reference Holtz a ton because that was our experience and that was our success. But I'm talking with a guy named Dave Robinson, and Mike, your dad would have known Dave. Dave played. He's a local guy here in town. I went to high school with his kids. Dave is in a Pro Football Hall of Fame. Played on the '67 Lombardi Super Bowl team. All pro, linebacker. And I had a chance to talk to him, and he was telling me about Lombardi and how if he had a great game, Lombardi would chew his ass the next week. And I looked at him, like, why would he do that? And he said just to keep him grounded. I mean, right. I kind of know why he did it, but I wanted to hear him say that because that's the kind of stuff that I grew up with, is to keep him grounded, and that you can the season's not over yet, and that's the kind, I think that never gets lost on players. And sometimes we say, players need to pay attention. And whether you have ADHD or girlfriend problems or whatever, you need to jump their ass, and they need to pay attention. And you want that kind of player that responds to that, in my humble opinion.
And I think they've been doing that from what I heard. That they're showing the NIU, end of the game film.
Good.
Every week to remind these guys, like, hey, this can happen, and it already happened to you, so keep your head on straight.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go back and look at, like you said, Lombardi, Bear Bryant, Saban, Lou, I mean, they all held everybody up to a crazy level of competence. You were saying it earlier in the podcast, Frank, that, Lou Holtz was a guy you were afraid of. I was always afraid of Lou Holtz. We had Barry, who was a great coach, but And Barry was able to get the best out of us. But Lou, I think everybody knew that Lou was lurking. And if you had a day that you were going to let the team down, or you missed some assignments, or you made a mental error, your ass was going to sit on the bench. And
I was not afraid of Lou Holtz.
That fear enabled me to play that much better. What's that?
I was not afraid of Lou Holtz.
Well, you were the only
afraid of anything. Yeah.
I sure as hell was.
You're under the Golden Dome. Yeah, Irish fans, you're under the Golden Dome with your host, Michael Stonebreaker, Wes Pritchett, Frank Stams, the three amigos, All-American linebackers from the last '88 championship team, breaking down this year's Irish team and going forward. All right, Florida State, going to be a challenge. Notre Dame should be a big favorite at home. Playoff picture going forward. I'll share you my. I saw everybody's got everybody's got. I'm looking up ESPN. I'm trying to look what all these people are saying. Playoff picture, playoff, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, you need a subscription to get their playoff picture. I said, what do I need a subscription to get their playoff picture? So I'm going to create my. I've created my own playoff picture
Nice.
right here.
Nice, Frank. Nice.
So, hey, I got Oregon. Oregon will get a bye. I think Oregon is the best team in the country. Georgia will win out. They'll get a bye. All right. Penn State will win out. They will beat Ohio State this week. And believe it or not, Ohio State with 2 losses will get eliminated from the playoff picture. Miami, crazy underdog. Miami will get a bye. They will remain undefeated and get a bye. So, who will host the 4 remaining teams? I got Texas hosting. I got
8 remaining teams. Oh no, you're right. Bye. No, my bad. You're right. You're right.
Who's going to host? So hosting, Indiana, believe it or not, will make it, but they will go to Texas. All right. Texas will be 5. Tennessee will be 6. They will host, and Pittsburgh, who is undefeated right now, will go to Tennessee. Notre Dame will host. Nice. They will host, and believe it or not, they will host a strong, I think a dangerous, not say strong, but a dangerous Iowa State program. And lastly, who will host is Brigham Young. All right, Brigham Young will host, and Brigham Young will host Boise State. So that's my playoff picture there, and it's on tape. So thoughts?
I would say, Frank, that's pretty darn good. I got to tell you, I agree with a lot of that. Look, we know something crazy is going to happen. There's definitely a lot more parity in college football. We got a lot of football to play. But I think that's very reasonable given the current state of the affairs of football right now.
I'm impressed with your little chart there, Frank.
Yeah, I do.
I know you put a little effort into that, but as far as my brain doesn't work that way. As far as I only work this week, and I can't think about what's happening in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. All I can do is win this game this week.
That's your
and
stuff.
then worry about that next game next week.
That's your strength.
Because the name of the game is tackle the man with the ball, and that's what you're bred to do. That's what you're bred to do.
All right.
And if you're on offense, avoid the guy that's trying to tackle you.
You can't. You won't be able to.
I love it.
Irish fans,
You
you're
are
listening.
under the Golden Dome with Wes Pritchett, Frank Stams, and Michael Stonebreaker. The last national championship, 3 All-American linebackers, 1988. We have a direct line to the current Irish staff and players, and they are clearly paying attention to what we have to say. Mike, what part of the game plan last week do you think was most obviously contrived as a result of our podcast?
I thought it was, we told them they needed to get a lot of turnovers. And turnovers would be a big key of the game. And they got 6 turnovers.
Nice.
Good job.
Frank,
Under
how
the
about
Golden
you?
Dome.
Yeah, they what would I don't know. Turnovers, I'd have to agree. They're paying attention, and so I would agree with the turnovers as well.
Frank,
And I would
5
say
of
the thing they heard about from us was fast start. Go out
Right.
there.
There
and
you
perform
go.
early.
Right.
There you go.
We
Nice.
came out blazing. We did. We came out guns a blazing in this game. I loved it.
Yeah. No, awesome. Good stuff. All right, well, shameless plug time. Irish fans, the 88 Irish IR88SH is the 88 National Championships team effort to give back to Holtz's heroes, play like national champions,
Whoa.
and Notre Dame's NIL fund. You can find us at n88d.com. You can order these T-shirts. They're quality T-shirts, wear very well, wash very well, and they are our effort to give back, like I said, to Holtz's Heroes, does great work, and the Notre Dame NIL effort. So, parting thoughts, fellas, before we wrap it up here?
I've got a week off. I'm going to focus and get ready for Florida State.
Heal up, get to injure anybody that's nicked up. Try to get try to get healthy, and really use it as a time to you can really focus. You have an extra week of preparation to watch film for the opponent. I think can't underestimate the power of watching film and getting ready, and Marcus hopefully making them believe that they can, they have an opponent that's worthy of them focusing on and going out there kicking some ass. So,
yeah, good points. Great win to go into the bye week with. Feeling really good about yourself. Beating a ranked opponent. And then also a chance to build that chemistry with that offense and defensive line. There's been some change in chemistry, if you will, because of injury. And, man, I'm a big believer in chemistry. I thought that 88 team we played on had great chemistry.
We had amazing chemistry.
Amazing chemistry, both offense, defense, in our leadership. It was just incredible. And I think I see that chemistry getting better. So maybe this extra 10 days will help with that. So best of luck to the Irish. And we will see you, Notre Dame fans, next week under the Golden Dome.
Go Irish.
Go Irish.
Go Irish.
This is
This is Alumni Media.